there's like nothing like to talk about.
I
Like,
think honestly, I
I
a
think
lot
we
of
all
shit.
kind of agree.
I think you haven't watched a lot. You need to watch more shit. Like,
Ooh,
yeah, I mean,
read
what do
or
you
I,
think about Johan versus like Koji and learning ability?
what's
Johan.
Gohan's best feat? Learning like 8 languages in like a week or better.
He
Like
didn't do that.
basically
That's one feat. What do you think though?
did that.
Like
Wait,
between the two? Like, what's your
Uh,
opinion?
fuck, I don't even remember Johan's feats. So
Johan.
probably shit. I got nothing. Like
I got Johan every day of the week.
That's good. That's good. But let me convince you otherwise. Hold up. Let me see if I can find it.
You pulling up the Koji?
Yeah, so basically Schuwald says he's perfect and he has a complete mastery over all fields of study. Right. So you can lowball this to just a Munich University because that's where he resides and that's where Johan is attending. Right. So even if we just limit it to that, right, we would see that, he has mastery over science, engineering, philosophy, economics,
yeah,
history, law,
very
all these things. And it's not just, again, it's not just mastery, it's complete mastery, right? And some of these fields of study where Johann has complete mastery often take decades to even achieve basic mastery, right? But Johann exists as an outlier, right? He's 20 years old and he's able to basically bridge this gap in necessary experience in order to attain mastery, right? And
okay.
I think that's like better than anything I've ever seen from Koji by a
So
long
I
based,
shot.
bro.
I
So
might
based.
go back for like examples. So I don't think your feat is bad. It could be Koji's feat, but I don't think Koji's best LA feat is like actually like the probably the feats you've presented. So while Koji is in the White Room, he essentially learned like basically all normative studies. So math, science, all
Yeah.
the shit we learn at school, those are normative studies. So he learned all those normative studies at a very high level to at least a college degree level, like at the very minimum. That's where the average people in the outcome. So like other people that were not
Okay.
Koji's level were at that tier of like competency and knowledge. So I think Koji would just be gapping these people that are supposed to be at the tier of what's it called? College professors, etc., etc., and he would just be gapping them in terms of knowledge. And he
Well,
gets this
I
in an
can't
age
lie.
of
Johan
like
kind of
60.
seems to shit on that feat. I'm not going to lie because, like I said before, Johan has complete mastery, right? So, unless you can demonstrate that the people that he's surpassing also have complete mastery, then again, Johan would be just
Well,
far, far above him.
are you taking the complete mastery to think literally, or is there any chance that it could be like a hyperbolic? It can
So,
be
No,
when
it's
I
not
say
hyperbolic.
complete mastery, I think he has an understanding of everything that his like current generation understands, and then much more, right?
Okay, so
And I think that's the case because Johan's understanding of academic fields remains unparalleled throughout generations. For example, Johan's manipulation of Miss Suk, right? He's able to alleviate dementia, which to our current time is something that isn't possible, right? So, and you have to take in mind, Johan is performing these feats within the 80s to 90s, right? So he's again decades upon decades ahead of his time in these fields of study.
okay, okay. Oh, okay, okay. So you're arguing your argument here is basically that he has to apply this knowledge, this something like this knowledge, right? He has to apply this knowledge to like such a high degree, which it can't be hyperbolic because you've shown that basically he does something to this person uh that's we can't
Yeah.
even do now
yeah.
in the 90s. So this
Also,
would be 30
miracle.
years ago, and 30 years
Yeah, so
later
I
we
can articulate. So basically, when we look at a statement and we say they're hyperbole, that's because it's not narratively consistent, right? So it's
yeah.
not, again, yeah, it's not narratively consistent, but I'm saying it is narratively consistent as a result of the feats we see him perform. Right.
Let's
So
go.
in order to perform the Misuk feat, right, he would need to have a insane understanding of psychology, right? And there's probably a lot
Neurobiology.
more that goes into it, but just bare minimum, we know he has an insane understanding of psychology, right? And again, it's generations upon generations ahead of his time. Even now, we have no idea. We're not even remotely close to
Yeah.
completely
So like
alleviating dementia, right? But Johan's doing this prior to our time by multiple decades.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
And basically what Schuwald's saying is it's not just in psychology, but it's also in other fields, right? And not just few fields, right? Not just limited fields, but numerous upon numerous amounts of fields.
Okay. Yeah, I would probably agree that your feat's probably better. I feel like there might be an argument for Koji to be like I think there might be an argument for Koji to have literal perfection. So, for example, in the White
Wait,
Room,
wait. 1 second, Miracle. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
my
Um,
guy.
does philosophy include is philosophy included in the normative fields or not?
No. Well, actually, it could be, but it's not a normative field. No, no.
Yeah,
So has
but Johan has that, and we have to also take in mind. I just want to quickly point out, even if right, what even if what Koji has is at like a higher level or whatever, that doesn't necessitate that he has better learning ability, right?
Yeah,
So we have to judge them by their time and the amount of information they're learning, how they're applying it, what feats they're achieving, et cetera, et cetera. So even if, right, Koji is at this, like high level, right? You know what I mean? That's like a college level, right? Not only does, Johan shit on that face value, but Johan is learning this he's learning more subjects, right? Because it's not only normative. Remember, it's across Munich University, right? So it's not just normative, it's everything that they teach. You know what I mean? So that's just a
okay.
ridiculous amount of subjects. I actually found a source that says they teach over 300 subjects, right? So to have complete mastery over 300 different subjects is insane compared to
Yeah,
just normative
yeah.
subjects.
I think, yeah, I think
also
said, I think it would be above Koji, but I think Koji is pretty insane too if you consider some factors that he technically would have mastery in all the normative fields that he did think since he beat the White Room at the age of like 11. Like he perfected everything that the White Room has to teach him. So this would mean that he would have complete mastery over all
Why
normative
does it have to be complete mastery, right? That presupposes that the White Room is at a level of complete mastery because you were saying that he's above White Room, so he has mastery, complete mastery. So
yeah,
why
well,
should I believe it's the case that,
complete
the White Room and that these people are also at Johan's level?
Oh, I'm not saying it is at Johan's level, so take that
No,
kind
but
of
you're
that.
saying they have complete mastery, and I'm saying Johan also has complete mastery, so they would have an equivalence on that level.
Okay, I'm basically asserting that a complete mastery, according to you, would be having uh having complete understanding or comprehension of this field, right? You would agree with that?
Yes, and then I'm saying
going a level
that
beyond.
would be complete mastery. I guess, yeah, that would be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So although Joe and you're so I'm not asserting that Koji's above, but I'm saying that he would have complete mastery over the field that he has studied because of the idea that these people that are teaching him should also have mastery over it. So it's basically
Why
like
do you think they should?
because they're college professors, they've done this shit for
But
30 years.
there's also college professors in this world, the real world, and at Johans University. But I'm not saying they have complete mastery. I think
No,
it's quite the
yeah,
opposite.
assert that. Like if though that's why how they
What'd you
got to
say?
their for example, when somebody finishes medical school, people assert that they have mastery over
Yeah, but not complete mastery. I think there's levels to mastery. So again, right, I think like I mentioned earlier, it often takes over a decade to get a low level of mastery, right? Not a complete level, but a lower level of mastery. Right? So I think
Okay,
there's a hierarchy within mastery.
so when we go to complete mastery, you would be asserting that a complete mastery, like I said before, it would just
It's the
be complete.
highest possible level of understanding. And what I'm basically saying right now, Xavier, is that I need some sort of evidence to support the idea that these college professors are at the highest possible level of understanding of what they're teaching at the White Room, right? Just being college professors doesn't entail that. Like I said before, we can look at real world professors and we can look at even people within, fictional works, right? Oftentimes, most of the times, they're still learning things.
Yeah,
They're
yeah, of
still
course.
studying while they teach students, but because they're already at such a level, they can
Okay,
do
so
both simultaneously.
you believe that Johan can't learn any more about the master about any of it? Like, so let's say all the
So
fields
I think
learn
I'll
more.
explain what I think. So I think that he's at complete mastery, as in he has all of the knowledge that his current generation has, but then I think he advances it to a completely new, unprecedented level.
Okay, so what happens to the point? What happens at the certain point where we do get to that point of okay, we can let's say we can cure dementia. Would he then no longer have perfect understanding?
No, dude,
Well, it would
you're
still be
misunderstanding.
perfect understanding. It would just be paralleled, right, by a generation.
Okay.
Right, it would no longer be unparalleled, because to be unparalleled is to be it's to be what you call, what's the word,
Have no
it's to
equal,
be
have
like
no
unrivaled, right, it's to be unprecedented in a certain way.
Okay.
That's what I mean. So if we were to reach a generation in which we do cure dementia, then we could say, okay, Johan is at this level when
But
he's
he
within this time frame. So let's say 40 years from now, I still remember Monster. I could be like, okay, finally, it's, what is it? It's 2027 or 2075. So he was 70 years ahead of his time.
One thing though is
yeah.
that I think for this feat, I'm a very big Johan Glazer, right? I do think we should. I don't think necessarily his feat is at the level of the generation where we cure dementia, because for this feat we should take like narrative into account, which is like obviously the writer of Monster has no way of knowing when dementia is going to get cured. So it would make more sense to base it off when the writer of Monster most likely believes, this level of, we would reach this level, rather than use it at when we actually reach this level. But
Uh,
regardless of that, you like know this Koji like in learning ability.
oh,
Also,
okay.
Yeah.
to further add on to this Koji thing, let's not forget that Koji was in a facility created specifically for him to learn all this shit, right?
Yes.
If you just put Koji in the wild, because Gyon was in the wild, like
Yes,
I
that's
get he
actually
was
a
in
good point.
college, but he was not in the
Yeah, let
fucking
me
basement, right?
Yeah, let me
So
add
I
on
don't
and
think this is
articulate anyway. So yeah, that's another thing to mention. So Koji is within an environment that is specifically designed to cultivate at the highest level, at least from what I understand. But for Johan, he's just at, like universities. He's also just learning from, like, for example, he learns from a retired blind war veteran who seemingly has no expertise in teaching, right? But he's able to master the language within a year.
go full
So what's up?
Okay. I remember
admin,
that.
admin.
Yeah, so he basically gets inadequate teachers while Koji doesn't, and he's able to perform feats seemingly faster than him.
Yeah, okay. I would probably agree that Johan probably has higher learning ability than Koji.
Also,
Although I
Yeah.
Miracle.
think his ability to learn is still incredibly high because
Yeah.
if we go back to the point of the professor thing, like even if we don't account that they don't have complete mastery, let's assume they have like even a low level of mastery. Koji would go way above that because these professor would have a certain level
Yeah.
of mastery. Maybe not to a complete extent, but they would at the very minimum have a low level of mastery, right? Which is kind of not really shown because they would take the best of the best. So they wouldn't take some booty like new recruits of the medical field, right? They would take the best of the best that the world has to
Yeah.
offer and get them to, to teach these kids.
Hmm.
So Koji would 100% beat the best of the entire world in this case because he's already beating people that are supposed to be
Yeah,
the
that's
best of
fine.
the world. Completely
As
big
long as
big.
I've convinced you of Johan being above,
Yeah,
then I'm fine.
One
I
thing I
think
Anything.
will ask, Miracle.
What do you think about Johan versus Koji in thinking?
Johan
shit, no
slams
fuck
next.
thing.
Not even fucking close.
Would you say
I,
miracles?
I'm not really sure if I still even want to use thinking as a category, to be honest, because I think it kind of encompasses everything. So it's kind of just like at a certain point, you kind of have to limit it to something, or not limit it to something, but
Well,
at a certain point,
let me
become
tell
more
you what I
important.
use. So I'll just give you the categories. So I use metacognition, critical thinking, creative thinking, application thinking, and abstract thinking.
Johan
You don't use
slams.
abstract reasoning?
Huh?
What do you don't use abstract reasoning? Because I know some people it's different, right?
I use abstract thinking. I'm
Okay.
saying thinking, not
Yeah,
reasoning.
yeah. I think those are I think it's fine, I guess, but it's like I don't know. I think I'm not kind of still thinking about it, but I'm kind of thinking of removing thinking as a category from like
Yeah.
what I personally use because again, it kind of like intelligence is thinking, right? So it's
Well,
kind of
not
like
just.
to think. It's like that's how you do anything. If you can't think, you literally can't reason or do anything else that encompasses intelligence.
Well,
Tuition,
within
bro.
those specific categories that I presented to you, would you say that Johan or Koji scales higher?
Um, in
Johan.
the category you presented to me, I would probably say
Yeah.
Koji. I would probably say I would probably
What
say
are
Johan's
what are his like best feats, for
Can I
example?
debunk it right now? Can I debunk it right now,
Oh,
please?
wait. I just want to ask him, like, what are his feats?
for what?
Like,
Like
what that puts him above Johan, in your opinion?
I don't have him above Johan.
What? You just said.
Wait, you just said he's like probably above Johan.
Oh, I didn't mean to say that. Did I say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say that.
Oh man,
Then
I
what
thought
do
you
you
were
like?
Bro, so, oh man.
dude, I
How do you
wanted
feel?
to do the Koji debunk, bro. I prepared this Koji debunk, bro. I got it
How do you
like
like
all of
Koji,
it.
bro? I fucking read. I think Koji. I think like Koji is an ass
Bro,
series. I think it's a terrible
What do
series.
you
I don't
Koji
like?
know.
But
What do you
bum?
think about L versus Johan in Thinking Miracles?
Uh, not sure. No, I guess I could. Uh. Oh, thinking. I don't know. Again, I don't really like using thinking as a category.
I
But
gotta glaze my blue
yeah,
on.
yeah. I have a question though. So, but do you have a uh Johan's reasoning above L's?
Um, Probably not. No.
You sure? I feel like you could probably argue for it to some extent, no?
I mean, maybe. I mean, like, if it's like feats, I mean, I think Johan takes inductive. Probably, yeah. It'd probably be inductive. I don't really remember all of. I think L has great reasoning and how he like breaks it down and stuff. It's great.
Yeah, but we have to glaze the on. It's necessary.
Yeah. So for the sake of the conversation, we'll just say Johan slams.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. I
I
like
don't
to
And
even
a
see
Koji a
ability.
bum, bro?
Koji is a fucking bum.
Koji is the biggest bum of all time.
I'm
Number one
literally
across the board,
Johan's
bro.
savior, bro.
Dude,
No way,
Honestly,
bro.
I'm
Low
glazing you
key,
on day one, bro.
I
to
respect
be
it,
honest,
bro.
I think Koji is still pretty like insanely high in LA, like a learning ability. But it's like,
No,
Yeah.
I disagree.
why not? Why do you disagree?
Really? You disagree?
I actually disagree.
Wait, I don't
I'm
even wait.
the
How can
biggest
you even
Koji hater of
disagree
all
with
time.
that, Muffins? Like
I'm the
that's
biggest
relative
because
to
I'm the
his
biggest Koji
scaling,
hater of
right?
all
So if
time.
he
That's
just scales like just fodders, right? Then by that standard, he would be scaling extremely high.
Wait, can you check one thing for me? Can you check exactly what subjects the the White Room curriculum holds? Exactly which ones?
Wait. I don't want you to doubt. My bad, bro. I've got to ask again. Why do you think that he's necessarily wrong? Because from what I understand, Miracles is scaling relative to his characters, right? The characters
I
he
know, I know.
scales. Right. So if you don't know
Give me
which
one moment,
characters he
give me one
scales,
moment. I may or may not have an argument. So give me one moment to check this.
You don't even have-
I'm not gonna lie. I don't even scale coach that high, and like I know his learning ability is insane, bro.
Like, bro,
It's
me
kind of
neither.
crazy.
So I'm curious on why you think it scales out.
Yeah, give me one moment. I need to see something to see whether I have a good argument or not. Otherwise, I'm not gonna make this argument because it'd be kind of stupid. But I might have a good argument. Let's see.
What's the argument? I haven't read Volume 0 in a while, and that would be his best LA feats. Probably.
Who the
So
fuck is
let's see.
bro? Who is bra 004 cum slut, bro?
But didn't he like duck earlier? I swear, like he said like nothing about Gojo, and then he just like never responded, bruh.
Let's see. Give me 5
Yeah,
moments.
I have seen like JJK like season 1 at least. There's like a feat of like I remember correctly. It's like a feat of where Gojo was like stated by Gojo, I think himself, that he's like super smooth, like super like he has like super like high IQ or some shit like that.
Girls want from
Fall.
yo,
Was it?
Whatever.
I might be wrong about this, but isn't there like a statement where Koji like not Koji Gojo said that like he had like high intelligence?
Yes.
um,
Gojo's like a genius. Like not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Gojo.
yeah.
Two things. So yeah, Gojo is like a genius, but he isn't Sukuna level genius.
At least not, bro.
Okay.
Sukuna
He's like-
slams no diff.
He's like a 150 IQ manga, I'd say. Probably.
Okay.
Actually, Fall, would you have L above Koji in learning ability still?
Yes.
Koji versus what? Hold on, say that again.
L.
L and learning mail. Yeah,
right.
because that stock market feat. Do you think it's based off luck?
No.
Fucking obviously not. But
God's
it's like,
intuition. God's
if I was
intuition right there.
I was thinking if I was able to raise, the diff, since I know you don't have it very close. So, do you think do you still have L's learning ability like way above?
Well, based off what you presented me, it just sounds like L's way above. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, it's the fact that Koji had like zero knowledge about anything that wasn't like specifically fucking force fed to him by the White Room.
Yeah, which is what the fuck what even is that argument?
Well, I'm just saying that like
He doesn't have
that
any
is
knowledge.
literally all we have. Like everything has been force fed into the White Room. We have no evidence of any learning out. Like, yes, we have like the social intelligence bullshit, but like generally speaking, we have no idea of like to what magnitude he could even learn without the Right Room. Like the only choice. So it's hard to say how much can be like. Obviously, Koji's like a genius or whatever, but how much of that can be given to the White Room and how much can be given to Koji, right?
He still has to learn it all. There's a reason most of the people in the White Room just fail to fucking learn it all. Like that's the thing.
Sure, most of them fail. I'm not saying he's not like a genius. I'm just saying that like when you're comparing him to like a character outside the verse, right? And they have two showings. Well, I almost want to say that if we're focusing really on the learning ability of Koji, and we look at the fact he has zero knowledge outside the White Room, and the White Room specifically designed to train, and his genius also falls basically perfectly in line to what you would need to like take advantage of the White Room. Well, how much can like is it 50-50? Is it 60-40? Tough to say, but I would say like a significant minus can be given to Koji just based on the fact that he was raised in the White Room. You know, artificial genius for a reason. You know.
Can you guys hear me? Because my shit's
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
School, right? We all go to school and we learn shit there. Our
Yeah.
ability to learn is based on the school system, right? That's what you're saying. Is it 50% school or is it 50% us? What
Actually,
are you
the
trying
school system, if you're a genius, the school system like works against you. So, I mean, that's
Okay,
like
but
even more.
I'm asking you, would you have the same argument for like you or me going to school? Well, which one would attribute? Oh, 50% school and 50% you and you. I mean, I
I
don't
would
think
say
it's much of
that you might be able to make arguments that like, you
It's
know,
like an
IRL
intellectual
people's learning ability were
kind of-
severely
it's kind of-
diminished by school. Yeah, that might be an argument you could make, I guess. But
could
honestly,
make an argument. It's like most people learn, and the way we learn, like the most effective way to learn is based on, the school principle. I mean, that's what they have. I know it's probably outdated now, so I don't think it is the correct way to learn now. I think there's better ways than like what the school system
the
enforces.
school system is a very bad way of teaching, especially if we're talking about like geniuses.
But I'm
What do you
saying
mean?
that it's a. What do you mean? What I mean? I literally fucking said it. Then you interrupted me randomly. Don't fucking interrupt me if you want to know what I mean. Holy fucking shit. Anyways, fuck. What is he even talking about? Anyways, I'm saying that I don't think it matters particularly because that's kind of like it's just like us. If we're going to school to learn, Koji just like the White Room was just Koji's school, right? He just being able to enforce all these topics, enforce all these fucking he's be able to just learn all this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Have you actually read Kote or like?
Kote.
Have you read the web novel or like the novel or whatever? Because
yeah, I did.
the White Room is it's a fucking like almost sci-fi level like room which was created to create geniuses. Now, how effective it was actually succeeding? Well, I'd say that most of the people like there's multiple people who came out of it like fucking superhumans, right? So
yeah, I would say so.
So if you had Coach, and not only that, but I believe it's also mentioned that Coach's genius was like it's almost as if it was like the godsend genius that could perfectly take advantage of the White Room. Like his genius specifically was in such a way, like for example, the way his learning ability functions worked unimaginably well in correspondence with the White Room. And so not only is it the fact that the White Room is the most state-of-the-art, like a thing that even if you put like an ordinary person in it, sure they might fail, but like they would skyrocket, right? And then you put
not exactly, because again, even if you put a lot of the people that were in
But what are you guys talking about? Sorry, I was looking at something.
He's basically saying that he's trying to attribute Koji's learning ability.
Well, not all of it, obviously, but like a certain percentage of it, which can be argued the percentage. But
some of Koji's ability to learn, like his feat of being able to learn to the environment he was in, and then I'm saying that okay, yeah, sure, but he still kind of has to overcome that, since his example here was that.
Well, that's pretty broad. So, what part do you think he learned due to his environment?
What? Like, are you
like for example, the example you brought up to respond is basically the idea you could put anyone in there and they would skyrocket, which isn't the case. A lot of people literally lose out or give out in the first like week or year that they're in there. So like by age 7.
So the argument is contradicted already.
No, but what I mean is, let me explain.
By the age of 8 or 9, nobody's in the White Room except like 2 people, and the last person literally left, and the last person besides Code, like the third person that was in the White Room, literally got annihilated because they couldn't handle it. They got kicked out. They were fucked. They couldn't handle it.
Yeah, so what it seems to be, it seems to be the case that, although it is true, what Muffins is saying true is that anyone will grow exponentially. It doesn't seem like most people would grow to the level Koji would be growing to, especially if you consider the narrative that he's one of like the smartest people in the world.
Yeah, especially, it's not even just that. It's because Koji's on the most rigorous level. So a lot, like, people, maybe if you put them at a lower level than the one Koji's at, they could potentially survive that. But at the Koji level, it's called the demonic generation. Kind of corny, right? But it's called the demonic because no one except Koji was able to fucking survive that shit. Because the third person that was in there was which was called Yuki. She got annihilated age 8 or something because she couldn't handle it. And
what's the highest level?
It's like, so there's the highest like number level is level 10, but Koji kind of passed level 10. So he's kind of like in the beta curriculum. It's kind of funky.
Okay, but what I
so is anyone smarter than Koji?
No. It's that, unless you want to make.
That's so boring, bro. That's such a boring series, bro. There's no one.
It is, but that's not my point.
You basically, I think basically the series is basically like Koji has to like Koji's basically training these kids, bro. Like he's training these dumbasses lame, to surpass him, bro.
That's lame, bro.
Something
that
that's
boring,
mention.
Bro. That's just an off-brand Gojo. Gojo did it better.
Exactly, but
for real, bro. No, at least Gojo had like a rival, bro. Like at least.
Back to the other person that like survived was named Shiro, and that named Shiro, like he might have been able to keep surviving, but he just didn't want to. He didn't want to be in the White Room anymore because he wanted to experience IRL. So only Shiro could have survived there, but we have no like real reason to assume.
Yeah, sounds boring.
Something that I should mention is that we're not talking about his overall. We're talking specifically about learning ability. And the reason that most of these kids dropped out is not because of learning ability, but because of EQM and EQE. Right? They just could not handle the stress.
No, it seems to be well, go ahead, Miracles.
Okay, have you even read Code? Like, I know that's like a thing, but like I feel like a lot of what I'm explaining here would just be explained if you read the series.
No, but what I mean is that like I'm not saying that like Koji isn't like a genius or anything of the sort.
Yeah, but one thing real quickly, Muffins, don't you think that they teach you to manage your emotions? No. That seems pretty absurd for them not to teach that, seeing as they're trying to create perfect humans and the highest level of humans, right? So if you want to create like the highest level of human, right, they have to be versatile, they have to be well-rounded, right? So being well-rounded, a prerequisite to that would be good emotional management, not being impulsive like Light was in the early part of Death Note. So I think it makes more sense to say that they most likely taught these people, emotional management on some level, right? So it would be learning ability, right? It'd be how much they were able to learn from the curriculum that teached them to manage their emotions.
There's more to
that is a fair point, but it's also questionable of like how much is EQM decided by genetics versus like learned.
Okay, even if it is decided by genetics, right? Let's just say of course it's going to be decided by, I don't know if it's specifically genetics, but of course their potential is what limits them. But the point I'm getting at, though, is that, it is dependent on learning ability, how quickly you can learn how quickly you can learn and apply what you learn in the white room, right? So these people that are failing, it doesn't seem that they just have, bad EM. It seems that they just didn't learn EM to the extent that Koji did, due to, Koji's superiority.
I mean, and I'm really not making the argument that Koji isn't a genius, or that he isn't like, does he dad gas?
Yeah, we know you're not saying that, but you're saying he doesn't scale high and that he's not good, because people were dropping out of the white room.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that a certain amount of his, like, and I think even like at least a couple, at least I think bare minimum 10%, but I'd argue more. I'd say that more seems more likely, also narratively speaking, of like his learning ability feats should be attributed to the white room. That's really what I'm saying.
Okay, you can also attribute Johans' feats to the people that taught him. You're saying nothing right now.
Well,
that's self-defeating. That's a self-defeating argument.
I don't think it's...
No, because this is the thing, right? If you have average teachers and you produce certain results, then when you compare that to another person who also has average teaching, then like it cancels out.
Bro, no, you're misunderstanding the point, though. The point is that they're able to learn based off their environment. Now, to the extent at which the environment allows them to learn is a separate question. But what I'm saying, though, is that it's still self-defeating because you can apply your point to Johan as well.
But we weren't even comparing Johan in this scenario. But like, sure.
It's not as big as to an extent. So basically...
Hold on, I just wanted to... Do you say sure? Do you agree with my point? Are you conceding?
No, what I mean is that, like, we're not arguing with Johan, but also what I mean is... I know
you're not arguing Johan. I'm just pointing out that it's a self-defeating position. Do you agree?
No, I don't agree, because this is the thing, right? It's a very different situation whether you have like the white room.
No, oh my god, you're not understanding the point, dude. Hold on, I've explained this to you multiple times now. I've told you that the extent at which the environment contributes to that person's learning, right, is a different question. You're making the point, though, that okay, he doesn't have good learning ability because it's just his environment, right? We could say that of any character.
That's not the point that I'm making. That's not the point that I'm making.
Okay, what's the point that you're making then?
I'm making that we should, not saying that doesn't have learning, obviously, even like with this, Koji's learning ability would probably scale above like, probably comp IRL, or most of IRL at least.
It would fucking illiterate everyone.
I mean, then again, there's some fucking, I don't want to discredit too many of the great geniuses of our time, so. Maybe comp IRL is more objective, but anyway, it's not really the point. But all I'm saying is that when you are comparing his feats with, let's say, L, for example, right? So L's stock market feat versus whatever, or like, I don't know even specifically L, but like when you're comparing the feats, because of the fact that Koji was in the environment, was like in basically the perfect environment for him to learn all of these things, I believe that his feat will, let's say you have two individuals, right? One learned everything Koji learned at the exact same speed, but he did it by himself. Like, he had no right room. He just kind of like, he had some books or whatever, managed to get his hands on some books, and that's how he learned all that. Then you have Koji, learned the same thing, but within the environment of the white room. You compare those two, who has better learning abilities, I would say that, like the other guy, like high diff Koji or whatever, or extreme diff, or whatever you want to say. But clearly the fact that clearly the white room attributed, I mean, you can argue to the extent, of course, but that is...
Wait, Miracles, can I ask you a question real quick?
Sure.
I want to respond to him. I've kind of been cut off like 30 times, so I'm kind of like...
Go ahead.
Yeah, for response.
Okay, so Muffins, basically what I'm saying, what you're simply arguing is that it attributes to a little bit of Koji's learning ability, therefore downscaling him a little bit. And
Yeah.
then, but you can also attribute that to Johan's feat just to a less extent. It would be like okay, so he is getting taught, maybe not to the level of Koji, but he's getting taught to some extent. So you could attribute some of his learning ability to what the people are teaching him.
Yeah,
So
sure. That's fine.
it
That's
might
fine.
not be 10%, but it might be 5% or something along
I
those
think it's
lines.
less than 5%, but yeah, sure. Obviously, everyone
Yeah,
is
same.
attributed to some extent to their environment.
Okay, you can. Okay. Just glad you know that.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then,
obviously
Yeah,
it's universal. But I'm
Miracles. I was
saying is
gonna
that like
ask you now though. I was gonna ask you, what do you think about Light versus Koji in a learning ability?
I don't know.
well,
Like
if you have
I
light,
never want to like I want to make this very clear, and I've made this very clear. I'm a big Koji hater.
that's
I'm
the
always
question.
gonna fucking race with the
Fuck
other guy.
are you talking? Holy
Yeah.
Yo,
shit!
yo,
So
dang, bro, chill.
I will always say light. I will always say light because I'm just like a light fan and like a Koji hater.
Yo, Xavier,
But
you okay, bro?
you know,
Wait, Xavier, I asked you the question, so can you just reply?
Okay, yeah. I would
Don't
assert
interrupt.
that if you have light at the same level of what's it called as
L.
L in learning
Then you follow.
ability, it would follow that L would
What do
light
you
would also.
think, though? I'm asking your opinion.
Well, I don't know what the argument I don't know because I don't think that Light and L are in the same tier at LA, but I'd be interested in hearing the argument for it.
I mean, well, I would never argue that, but I mean, I don't know about the helicopter feat. Like, I feel like the helicopter feat's pretty insane. He's basically able to instantly learn, how to fly, like some of the most complex machinery on the planet.
Yeah, I know it takes.
Like, I don't think Koji could replicate that feat.
For example, you don't think so. You think being able to will drive helicopter intuitively.
Operate a helicopter through intuition, right? So it's
Yeah,
instant.
ability is superior to getting a very high level of mastery in 7 normative fields.
Yes.
That
Wait,
would
say that one more time. Say that one
you
more
think
time.
you think it's more difficult to learn how to you think it's more difficult to learn how to operate a helicopter in like how to operate a helicopter than to learn 7 normative fields at a very high level that would even surpass
I think it's
people.
more difficult. I think it's more difficult to instantly learn how to fly a helicopter without teaching through intuition than doing that.
So you're basically arguing that since
It's like superhuman, bro.
Yeah, because like this is the thing, right? What Koji did, that's like not. I feel like if you told me next day, someone did in real life what Koji did, I would be like, wow, that guy's like super smart. But I would accept it. If you told me that someone like managed to like perfectly fucking like just like intuitively pull that off, I would be like, you are lying to me. That is simply not a human thing that's possible to do.
Yeah, and we know it's at a high level too. I just would like to point it out because L flies the helicopter in such a way that, or I don't remember if he was flying it at the time, but I remember Whammy shooting like at I forget what he shot at, but he shoots at something. Huh?
Yeah, I think it was L that was flying it, if memory serves me right.
Yeah, so L is flying, like, he's able to, like, fly it at an extremely, again, like, I don't think that, I don't see any good reason to believe that Johan, or not Johan, but that Koji could instantly learn how to fly a helicopter through intuition.
He might be able to pull it off with like bodily kinesthetics and perception. I don't know, but not with intuition alone.
Well, do you think it's thoroughly through intuition, or do you
It's
think
stated to be through intuition.
Yeah.
It's
through subconscious reasoning?
Huh?
He learned it through subconscious reasoning.
Yeah, so intuition is like based off past experience. You know what I mean? What?
Wouldn't that just be induction?
No.
I mean, I don't really care what it is. You know what I mean? I think it's irrelevant. What I'm saying, though, is that I don't have any good reason to believe that Koji would be able to perform the same feat on that same level. And I think that intuition upscales it. You know what I mean? Because, again, he's not being taught anything. He's not going through a special curriculum. You know what I mean? Again, he's instantly learning how to do it without any teaching whatsoever. And like I said before, flying helicopters and planes are the most difficult things to fly or to operate on the planet, when it comes to transportation.
I
Oh
like
yeah,
how
yeah.
he's moderate, bro.
So it takes 20 years to get a pretty good understanding of it.
It
But I
takes
think
many years. Yes.
okay, okay. I think even though I think Koji probably has like if you count up all, like let's say we go by years, right? Then we go by the all the shits Koji's learning. He probably has more nuanced uh like he probably learned his like the shit he's learning at a better mastery. But I think you're arguing that well, sure he like Koji might have a better mastery, but Light is so it's just like he was able to learn this so fast, this complex concept so fast that it wouldn't take Light very long to hypothetically learn what Koji did in a shorter even a shorter amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the rate at which, uh, Light learns completely shits on Koji.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All
So like
things
this
considered.
that learning speed is just not close. I actually probably could agree with that to be honest.
Yeah, and obviously learning speed is a part of learning
Yeah,
ability. Like we
it's
take
a.
all else equal, we would say the one with higher learning speed is better in learning ability.
I don't know about that one because
Wait,
let's
what
say
do you mean? What? All else equal, right? All else equal, the one with better learning speed would scale higher in learning ability.
oh, my bad. You said all else equal. Okay, I
Yeah.
thought you were arguing that like that learning of speed in general would just be like the highest amount of force that we'd be taking in terms of scaling it. So it would just have the most
Nah,
magnitude.
nah. I'm just illustrating that learning speed is a thing that we should take into consideration when evaluating learning ability. And
Yeah,
what's up?
yeah, I mean, I agree with that. It's like I agree. I think it's how fast you learn it, how well you learn it, and what you're learning. And then if you like after a combination of all those concepts, you could assert a certain level of learning ability. So
1 second. Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, so, light, yeah, I mean, light's just insane. Like,
Go
this
to
that feat's ridiculous, again, just insane learning ability. Like,
Wait, what's
I
his
don't see.
best learning? I was not paying attention.
So, light's best learning ability feat is him being able
helicopter.
to intuitively fly a helicopter instantly.
Actually, yeah, that is mad impressive, Luke. That's actually mad
Yeah,
impressive.
because you have to take into account, um,
Yeah, cause I've seen the inside of a helicopter before. I've actually been on one before, and let me tell you, that shit is mad complicated.
20 years, bro. Like a decade or something. 2 decades, maybe.
Yeah,
Get to the
Yeah.
that no, like
doesn't
that shit is mad complicated, bro. Like there's a bunch of like buttons, a bunch of shit you gotta like learn. That's looking impressive as shit.
That's like impossible. That's like a superhuman feat. That's not something
That is a superhuman feat, bro. There's
I don't think that's something a human being could be capable of ever doing, no matter how smart they were.
honestly, I think everybody here that we named is high key superhuman. Even Koji, who might be the weakest one we talked about.
I mean, maybe.
No, he is. Like, how the fuck you mean maybe? Like,
I mean, even
bro,
Koji
I'm a
himself,
superhuman in video games, but I don't know about anything else.
even Koji doesn't assert himself to be like above like humanity.
okay.
He asserts himself as above the white room, but he says like, for example, I
Okay,
believe he said at some point like, there might be people in this world smarter than me, but within the white room, I am king. Right? So it's like
Wait, actually,
why
hold on. Actually,
why do you
that's like your
assume
quote.
why do you assume that the smartest people in our world are the smartest people in that world? When that world has shown way more not complex, but way things that are just not possible in our world. Like
well,
Well, I'm
I mean,
the reason I'm assuming it,
like usually what I would do is like just like I would like lowball the verse.
lowball the verse. But the point is
Yeah,
that
well, not it's not in a bad way
also,
because
let's not forget that people like Leibniz have lived in our world, right? Like, have you guys looked into like real life people? How fucking insanely
one
yeah,
smarter they
person,
were?
like Einstein, bro.
can you guys name
Einstein is
one
him.
can you guys name one person IRL that could learn 6, 7 normative concepts? All of them. Not like one special niche
Nah,
that
bro.
Thomas
Low
Edison.
key, low key.
Like,
Yup.
have you read anything about Leibniz, about what his feats
I
are? The last universal genius, as he's known.
But hold on, let me finish. So the point is that let's say there's 7 normative concepts, and he's learning these above the likes of even college professors on like at the highest level. So these are the smartest of people in the entire fucking world. And
Whoa,
Koji
whoa,
just
whoa,
let.
whoa, whoa. Is that a certain, like, are you sure it's the smartest
Yeah,
people in the entire world?
yes, that's they bring people from the U.S. or all around the
They bring,
world.
I remember them saying specialist, but I don't remember them saying like smart of the smartest. Is that like,
I mean, you could probably. I'm pretty sure that's in the case. I haven't read it, but I'm pretty sure I read that. But in that,
I really have to say this because there's a big difference between them bringing like 180 IQ motherfuckers and then bringing like just like specialists within their field. There's a big difference in that.
yeah. Well, they're obviously bringing the smartest people of the field they're learning in. So it would be the best of the
Well,
best. For example, let's say he's trying to learn English. He would bring the best English person in the fucking entire fucking world to teach this nigga. And he would just blitz that said person that's teaching him. He blitzes him like way superior.
have you read about Leibniz? Have you read about Leibniz, my friend?
I don't know who that is.
Leibniz. He's known as the last universal genius. Look into his like full skill IQ feats, bro. Look into that shit, and then come back to me. I want to have your like honest to god opinion on this guy, because like to me, this man is like, if you hadn't told me this guy existed, I would have assumed, oh, this is like superhuman. There's no way an actual human is this smart, but this guy lived and existed. I think we tend to underestimate real life.
How do you spell it?
Leibniz. Wait, let me write it in chat.
Niggas, oh my god, nigga, I just spell it. Said the word.
Yeah, let me write in the chat real quick. This. Yeah, okay. Let me get his full name here. Shabow. Look at him for yourself. Tell me what you think. Tell me whether you think he's like. What do you think that's impressive or not?
Yeah, I'll look into him since I'm kind of interested.
I think there's a lot of like real people. Like right now, I'm reading a book about this guy. It's called the. Wait, what's it called? I have fucking shit ass memory for books name. Yeah, the Power Broker. It's about this guy called like Robert Moses, who lived in the 20th century. And so this guy's in like a full scale IQ Margaret, although he's certainly like a genius full scale IQ wise. But this guy was like for half a century was like the most like arguably the most powerful man within New York. And he controlled basically anything that was being built within New York and could basically build anything he wanted within New York due to his like total control of the state in that matter without ever being elected. Like,
oh, this guy. Oh, you said Leibniz. Is that or is it likeness?
it's in the chat. I sent it in the chat.
Okay, got you. Fuck, yo, I'm gonna. Why I just keep forgetting to order fucking my food. My god.
So like a guy like Robert Moses, for example, like his fucking like SED feats are pretty fucking crazy. Not gonna lie. Like a president tried to go after bro, and as like the prime of influence, but like he could not touch this man's influence. I think there's some pretty good like in terms of like full scale IQ and like learning skills. Like yeah, some of these characters are like aren't human, but like in terms of overall outsmarting, there's some real life human beings who have some pretty great feats. Which is in my opinion very interesting to look into. But yeah, look into I'm not even sure if Gottfried is like the smartest ever, but like.
Well, for example, he entered university at the age of 14. Koji learned concepts and beat these niggas at the age of 9.
Look at his full skill IQ. Look at his full skill IQ.
I'm just saying. That's the first thing I read.
Yeah, sure, but like obviously this is a different environment, bro. Like obviously, but look at
the point. Are you gonna keep arguing for the different environment?
No, but like look at his full scale IQ feats. Just look at his full scale IQ feats. That's all I'm asking.
Though, I think they're like, how long is this video, y'all? How long is this recording?